If I want to be truly joyful, I'm going to need more than money because I can show you a ton of entrepreneurs who've taken companies public for billions or sold them and they're not joyful. So let's be self serving. How can I be more joyful? You can become more joyful if you say that I need to combine my business with impact, with positive impact on humanity by making the world a better place and having a conscious knowledge of how I'm going to do that. The moment you do that, an interesting thing happens. Your business actually becomes a better business because people actually like to work with those kinds of companies.
Yeah.
And employees don't like to leave those kinds of companies.
And consumers like to be a part of those kind of companies.
So oddly enough, these companies are actually not low performers.
Yeah.
I would invest in them.
You have well-paid, loyal, employees.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people that since 2015 that we went down this path with my businesses, we have by far been able to beat our peers in the market, even though, again, given the principles that I try to employ, I say that I don't want to be in a business that our success should be the cause of someone else's demise. Otherwise, I'd rather be in a different business. I don't want to compete with anyone. But the fact is, if you run a good business, the consumers will choose whoever they want to choose, and they happen to come to a business like ours than one that does not care about these kinds of values.
What are some of those values? How do you put them in place in One Planet Group?
Sure.
If someone was a business consultant, was coming from the outside and looking at it, they would say, oh, here's what this business group does different than other business groups in the Bay Area.
The number one thing is love for everyone that you're dealing with, is love for humanity and looking at as every human as a noble creation. That if I look at even my competitor as someone I'm going to have love for, the way I'm going to treat them is going to fundamentally
How do you
change.
instill that as a philosophy in your employees?
That's our number one core principle in the company, leading with love. And so what that means is that, and we have a whole culture training around it, but basically what that means is that I'm going to consider the impact of my financial decisions on people around me. And there are consequences. There's a ripple effect. Let's talk about the ripple effect before we say, yes, let's move forward. So that's one. The second thing is that we put our money where our mouth is, that we believe that we need to sacrificially give. And we don't think that just because we are good at, let's say, software, we can also solve the problem of education in Africa. Who says so? There are people that they have dedicated their lives to that. So we rather go find some of those people and adopt them as our nonprofit arm, as people who know it the best, and let's support them to do the good thing that they do, and more of the good thing that they do. So, and sacrificially give to those causes. So I think that as a business, giving 1% is a check mark. I don't want to be a check mark. I want to do real things. So we give as much as 20% of the profits of the business. We have service days that we tell our employees, on these days, you get paid whether you do service or not. Service comes from the heart. You can't be forced to offer service. But on those days, we pay you to go out there and be of service to humanity. You decide how. There's one thing we prefer that you don't do, and that is don't serve political parties on those days because by nature they're divisive. Yesterday was one of our service days, and our teams in 11 different countries all over the place were offering service. And that's a beautiful thing because it brings joy to them while they are on the clock.
What about profit sharing?
Profit sharing is an essential part of our I did that for multiple reasons. One, because I believe that that's the right thing to do. But then the second thing is that people are so conditioned in my world that they want the company to sell or go public so they can have that big payday. I'm like, forget that big payday. Let's have a payday every quarter based on the success of the business. So you share that success. Those are some examples. And I believe that by employing these, we also do another good thing, which is we put a cap on how big a company can become. And I think that's a good thing. Do we need global dominators? I don't know how that benefits us. I don't know how, I've met Jeff Bezos, seems like a nice guy, but I don't know if Amazons of the world are necessary for the world. I think, are we better off because we have fewer people vying for our business because many of those local businesses have gone bankrupt and so on? I don't think that necessarily makes the world a better place. So I do think that diversity of businesses, diversity of options for consumers is a good thing. And I like to think that when you build a business based on cool, I call them spiritual principles, but these are timeless values we can all buy into, I think puts a cap on how big these businesses become. And that's a good thing.
The Soul Boom Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your stupid podcasts.